Hello, week 2 of Lunch with Andy. We've got Allen Gregory as our guest here today. Allen's been in for 21 seasons. He's out of Houston, Texas. He was originally a student on Team 647, and he was a mentor early on with DiscoBots, Team 2587, for a few years. But for the last majority of his time in First, he's been the lead mentor, coach, teacher on the Spectrum Team 3487. They are based out of St. Agnes Academy and Strake Jesuit College Prep School in Houston, Texas. Allen has a favorite memory that's pretty awesome. Tell us about your favorite first memory, Allen.
Absolutely. So my father is also a Woody Flowers finalist recipient. And so in 2014 at the Dallas Regional, he was able to be down on the field with the script and the trophy. And he was the one that actually got to present it to me, which was really awesome to have that, because he was helped a lot in my entire first career. He was a mentor on my high school team. So that was a really special memory to have my father actually be able to give me that award.
So what are you eating today? What's for lunch today?
I have chicken wings and French fries today.
Yours is about as healthy as mine. I've got these things called Louis baked hamburgers. It's a hot dog shaped hamburger with chili and then some fries. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
I try to be a little bit healthier, not during the FRC season, but
yeah, I hear you.
Especially at the beginning, it gets a little whatever's there.
Let's get into the game and this season and such. So, what's your general opinion of the game? How do you like it?
I'm a really big fan. I think it has some really good elements from past games that I thought went really well. It has a lot of elements from like 2019. You have the dual game piece. You're doing like kind of those same sort of cycles back and forth from the loading station, most likely. Some of the full field crossing stuff that we did get in 2017.
Right.
Even all the way back to 2011, where you had the same kind of grid scoring on your driver station. So everything has to like flip around a bit. You're not scoring away from you. So all of those elements were made up pretty good games. They didn't seem to have any big flaws this year that I could see. Like the gameplay seems like it's going to be pretty good. So yeah, the unique challenges for the high-end teams, doing stuff we haven't really done in a while, having to reach out that far, while still having probably the best floor of any game, maybe in FRC history. The amount that you can score with just a drivetrain is unbelievable in this game. Like you don't have to do, if you don't do anything on top of it, you can score, it's something like 70 or 80 points just by driving really well.
Just driving up on the charge station, pushing game objects into those nodes, those low-level nodes. That's
exactly.
Lots of points.
There's so much you can do just with one of the AM14Us and a lot of practice.
We all have a limited amount of time. I have not delved into the Open Alliance information that's out there. Are there any highlights that you can point us to with Open Alliance?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Open Alliance is a project that started in 2020 and didn't really get off the ground too much since that was the shortened season. But it's been a really great hit, and we're up to well over 90 teams who have committed to doing it this season. So there was a ton of content. That's actually probably one of the hardest parts, is trying to weed through it all. But we tried to make it a little bit easier. It's all on cheap. The Open Alliance website that Justin and a few other people worked on this summer made it a lot easier. So you can go to theopenalliance.org and get links to all the different teams. And right now, especially this first week, teams can use it to watch a ton of prototype videos. So if your team doesn't have a lot of resources, and pretty much no team has the ability to prototype everything they want, so many teams have been out there building different things, testing different things. If you don't have access to as many game pieces, or you don't have a full field, there's teams who have built a lot of the wooden field, have been testing things, all sorts of different cone pickup and riding mechanisms, pinch rollers, cube mechanisms, all sorts of those videos are all out there. So you can almost like just virtually prototype by watching what other people are doing.
The overall concept of design sharing, because some teams are very open. Obviously yours is. You guys are famous for your blog, and it's discussed on Chief Delphi. You have your own website, your own blog, and you guys give a really good summary of how you go through the build season, design decisions, all that stuff. But there's some teams that don't want to share anything. They want to keep things locked up. They want to keep their design secret. In my opinion, over the years, that used to be how most teams operated, and now I see a movement where there's probably most teams are open and they're willing to talk about things. There's less secrets. Can you talk about that change in culture and also your decision of why you guys wanted to be open with your designs?
Absolutely. So that kind of started all the way back when I came onto Spectrum. The 2012 season was my first year with the team. And we were mostly just talking about what we could do and how we could be not necessarily different, but how we could better help the community and what we were doing. It was also an easy way because like the way our team was running, we weren't having everyone at every build meeting. So there was a lot of times where the students were doing different activities and just the way things worked. And we had a lot of parents involved and they wanted to know what was going on. So having the blog and just allowing that to be the way that our team communicated the progress of the robot internally. But then also since we were already doing the work, it was very easy to make it public. And it didn't get too much traction that first year. It was really just used by the students and myself and the parents to kind of know what the robot was doing. And so everybody could follow along. And then we would also be able to get advice back from other teams who did follow. So I had friends who I knew, and they could watch along, see the photos, videos, and be able to give comments, be like, oh, hey, your students were doing this thing, or the robot's looking like this. We were able to do this. This might make it better. And they were giving us advice. And then other teams were also able to use it and learn from it too. And then in 2013 is where it kind of really took off that second year, because we had, it was that Frisbee launcher game. And we were one of the first teams to really prototype and get through that you could launch a Frisbee with tiny wheels. So back then it was like the BaneBots wheels, 3 and 4 inch wheels. And so we were spinning them up at a much higher RPM and launching with like a sequence of those. And there wasn't a lot of video out there. Almost all the other ones that kind of been posted were like big pneumatic tires and stuff. Right. And a lot more teams were following and getting ideas from that. And once we saw that, and I also saw the reaction that the kids had to it, because I was one of the kids developed most of that. And they were really excited that other people liked their ideas, and they were able to get a huge sense of satisfaction and fulfillment from the idea that not only were they doing something cool, they were doing something cool that was helping and being appreciated by way more people than just their own team. And so that's been able to live on throughout the entire season of us doing this. So we've done a build blog every year. So this is year 11 or 12, whatever it is. And every year we have students who come up with something, or they're the ones who are working on the intake or some part of the structure or something. And then they get to go to competition and be like, oh, I helped design that, even though it's on 20 other robots. Yeah. Their design ideas get to be seen on more than just one robot. And similarly, that same kind of buildup of getting feedback has helped immensely. Last year, there's a really good example. Our climber development was a whole saga, but kind of the latches that we were using to the main like stationary hooks weren't quite right. But we ended up just using Team 95, who, from looking at our blog, built a version of our climber. They took it, adapted it, made it better, and we were able to take parts back from it. Like we literally downloaded their CAD, modified it a little bit to fit our robot, and then we were able to use their improved version to make our robot better. So by doing that, they got a better robot from it, we got a better robot from it, and we were all able to work together without having to like coordinate, communicate. Like we're just doing it all openly. Everyone can see, pick and piece the little bits that they want, find things that go, oh, that's the solution that solves the problem that we're having. And everybody can learn more that way. So why don't more teams do this? What would be the detriment, if any? What are the detriments with being open and sharing your designs like this? I do think there's an obstacle that we also have to get over almost every year. Is there is some amount of the fear of putting something out and making it public, right? Anytime you're about to publish something, this happens with authors, creators, any of that sort, right? You make something that you like or you think is good, and when you put it out for the world, it's scary because you don't know what the world's going to think of it and what feedback you're going to get, what criticism you're going to get. You build up the tolerance to it, the muscle memory to it, like public speaking or anything else, and you get better at it as you just publish. The other fear that sometimes exists is that people think, oh, but if we publish it, then people are going to use it and they're going to know how to beat us or something at the event. And we almost never find that to be true, because no matter how much we publish, nobody is going to understand our robot and our design better than we will. And even if they do make a version of our robot and are better with it, that's still great for the program. Like their kids learned a lot, their students learned a lot, they were inspired. Going to events where everyone is performing better is just more fun. So we'd rather have everyone be at a very high level at the events we were at. We'd rather have everyone playing the game really well than to have people who aren't able to drive. Like same reason, like the revolutions that were the AndyMark kit chassis and things that have made it so much better to go to events where everyone's actually competing and playing at closer to the same level than we were. Like, again, you and I have been in this for a very long time, and we remember the times where it was hard to even have everyone live in an event. So the more we can lift that floor up and have people scoring lots of game objects, playing at high strategic levels, the competitions get more fun, everything gets better. So we've never really succumbed to the idea that, oh, if we help other people, they might be better than us and beat us at an event. I totally agree, and that's probably the root basis concept for the creation of AndyMark. Is we wanted to make the teams without resources to be able to compete at a higher level.
And I can associate with sharing designs, obviously, but when I was first on Technocats back in 98, 99, 2000, 2001, we started sharing designs, but we waited till after the season was done. It was the summer afterwards that we started sharing designs. We put out print packages and those kinds of things, and those were used a lots of places, but we did not dare do that during the middle of the season like you guys are doing. It's incredible. I think what you're doing is great. I think there's so many teams, so many students that are inspired by the Spectrum Build blog. How do you guys put the blog together? Who creates the content? Who publishes the content? Do you have a focused team, or is it you? How does that happen?
So it depends on the year. So when early on, it was myself pretty much most nights typing it out, like the 2012 to 13 or so. And like a lot of the students, as they started reading it and seeing it, they would start figuring out how to get pictures up or be like, hey, I want to write some stuff. And they would write content and I would format it and get it on there. But then some years we have students who take over a lot more of it, where they'll want to do a lot of the nights or write whole sections of it.
Right.
This year we made it a lot easier because especially through the COVID shutdown, we had to change a lot of our processes in general because we started to be doing a lot more digitally. And so now the blog gets done by, we basically just have a Google Doc and we write out, the title for the next day, and every student can go in and like add their photos, add sections to it if they need to. And then most nights, a couple students or myself and one of the other alumni mentors have been helping out a lot this year. We'll go in and make sure it's edited right. And then either I'll post it or the alumni mentor will post it.
So for our viewers, tell them where they should go to check this out if they haven't ever seen your blog.
Absolutely. So the easiest place to go is blog.spectrum3847.org. And that'll take you straight there, but you can also read it on the Chief Delphi threads. We post mirrored on both sites now.
So Allen, do you have any questions for me? I've been asking you all these questions. Do you have anything for me?
Yeah, so how is this season comparing to the past with AndyMark and things, with having the different field elements trying to get shipped out and the game elements this year being different, I guess, with like cubes and cones and like...
It feels back to normal, like 17, 18, 19, 20, well, early 20. We've been rushing. We've had 2 shifts here. I leave to go to a meeting or something like that. We leave at 5:30 or 6, and there's still a crew here till almost 1 o'clock at night, just picking and packing orders. So that's what we used to do. So I really like it, as far as we're kind of getting back to our roots a little bit after COVID. It seems like we always need help assembling things. We always need help like our machine shop is really, really busy. There's a few suppliers that are making really hot parts for us that we can't make enough of. So that's just kind of typical stuff for AndyMark, is what we usually go through. Our first week, really our focus was getting game objects out the door and getting some of these field elements, these specific field elements. But I think hopefully we have a little bit more time to get field elements out the door than we do game elements, because people are still working on building their fields. I think that's a new thing that's good for the community, is we're trying to provide them with hardware that fills in some of the holes with them building their own fields at home, or ramps, or charge stations, or nodes, or whatever. So I think hopefully we're filling that need there. Later this week, we've got first choice fulfillment, and that's always a big deal for us, because what we provide to first choice is free service of distribution of the parts that are donated to the teams, and we're going to have 2,500 orders that need to be fulfilled, that are orders that we got to get out the door, so teams can get their first choice items. So we gave ourselves about 2 weeks for that. Over the next 2 weeks, we'll get those out. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I'm glad to be back in the groove of having 2 shifts running and having everybody be active a lot to help support teams and the first community. I hope to see you out on the first tour this year. I think back in 2020, I got to work with you as an inspector at one of the district events in Texas. I don't think I'll be able to see it in that way. I'll probably see you in Houston at World Championships. But I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. See you then, Andy.
Thanks, Allen. I hope you have a great continuation of your build season. Keep up the great work with you and your team with the build blog. And I really appreciate your time today. I know you're a busy guy. So thanks for your time. For all you watching, thanks for showing up for Lunch with Andy. Next week, we have a really exciting guest, also from the Houston area, Lucian Junkin from NASA and the lead mentor on Team 118. Looking forward to seeing Lucian. Thanks, Alan. Thank you all for watching.